We are coming to you right now with an emergency heat dome broadcast covering the entire southwestern United States, and what we are tracking this afternoon is not a routine heat advisory. This is a life-threatening, historically significant extreme heat event that is already killing people, already overwhelming emergency services, and is not going to let up for the next 7 to 10 days. Let me say that again clearly so every single person watching understands the severity of what we are dealing with. This heat dome is expected to produce temperatures at or above 120 degrees Fahrenheit across portions of Arizona, California, Nevada, and New Mexico. 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That is not a forecast error, that is not a rounding estimate. That is the consensus output of every major weather modeling system currently in operation. The GFS, the European ECMWF, the HRRR, and the NBM, all converging on the same catastrophic temperature signature across the desert Southwest. We are talking about an event that, if the models verify, will break all-time recorded temperature records in multiple cities simultaneously. We are talking about an event that the National Weather Service has classified at the highest possible tier of heat warning severity. We are talking about conditions under which exposed outdoor workers, elderly residents without air conditioning, young children, pets, and anyone with cardiovascular or respiratory conditions can experience fatal heat stroke in as little as 15 minutes of direct sun exposure. This broadcast is going to give you everything you need. We are going to walk through the meteorological setup, how this dome formed, why it is so intense, and why it is locked in place. We are going to break down which specific cities, counties, and regions face the most extreme danger with population numbers so you understand the scale of human exposure. We are going to identify the specific risk windows, the hours of each day during the next 10 days when conditions will be most dangerous. We are going to provide you with cooling center locations, emergency contact numbers, infrastructure alerts, and a complete survival action plan that you can implement right now. If you are in Arizona, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, or New Mexico, this broadcast is for you. If you have family members in any of these states, this broadcast is for them. Do not leave this channel. This information may save your life or the life of someone you love. We begin right now. 2. Meteorological setup and data. Let us start with the science, because understanding what is generating this heat dome helps you understand why the standard heat advisory protocols are not sufficient for what we are dealing with. A heat dome, for those unfamiliar with the term, forms when a large area of high atmospheric pressure parks itself over a region and essentially acts as a lid on the atmosphere. That high pressure system forces air downward. As air descends from higher altitudes into lower altitudes, it compresses. Compressed air heats. This is basic physics. It is called adiabatic warming. For every 1,000 feet of descent, dry air warms by approximately 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit. When you are talking about air descending from the upper troposphere down to desert floor elevations of 1,000 feet or less, you are introducing an enormous amount of compressional heating before the sun even begins to do its work. Now, what makes the current setup catastrophically different from a standard late summer heat event is the combination of 4 simultaneous atmospheric factors, all of which are maximizing at the same time. Let me go through each one. Factor 1. Ridging amplitude. The high-pressure ridge currently dominating the western United States is not a modest feature. As of our most recent data runs, the 500 millibar geopotential height anomaly over the central southwest is running at approximately 590 decameters, roughly 596 decameters at its peak axis. For context, the typical summer ridge over the desert southwest runs in the range of 578 to 582 decameters. What we are seeing right now is an anomaly of plus 14 to plus 18 decameters above the already elevated seasonal baseline. That is an extraordinarily amplified ridge. Meteorologists who specialize in heat events are comparing the synoptic structure of this system to the 2021 Pacific Northwest heat dome that killed hundreds in Washington and Oregon, but displaced southward and sitting directly over the most densely populated portions of the desert Southwest. Factor 2. The blocking pattern. What makes a heat dome catastrophic versus merely dangerous is whether the high-pressure system is mobile or stationary. A moving ridge produces a heat wave. A stationary blocked ridge produces a heat dome. The blocking pattern we are currently observing is supported by a strong omega block across the central Pacific, a configuration where high pressure is flanked by troughing on both its western and eastern sides, effectively anchoring the ridge in place. The European ECMWF ensemble mean, which has the most reliable medium-range skill score for blocking events, is maintaining this omega block through at least day 10 of the forecast period with high confidence. The GFS ensemble is in agreement. The NBM National Blend of Models is showing breakdown of the ridge beginning around day 11 to 13, but with significant spread in that timing. The bottom line, this dome is not moving for at least a week and possibly longer. Factor 3, moisture suppression. Normally, even during intense summer heat in the southwest, the monsoon moisture surge provides some modulating influence, cloud cover during afternoon hours, occasionally outflow boundaries that generate localized cooling, and elevated humidity that, while uncomfortable, limits the upper bound of dry bulb temperatures. What the current synoptic pattern has done is effectively seal off the monsoon moisture return. The high-pressure anticlone is pushing the moisture axis southward into northern Mexico, stripping the moisture return that would normally reach Arizona, New Mexico, and southern Nevada. What this means in practical terms is that we have none of the cloud cover, none of the outflow, and none of the afternoon thunderstorm activity that would otherwise put a ceiling on temperatures. We have clear skies, full solar insolation from dawn to dusk, and bone-dry air, dew points ranging from the single digits to the upper teens across the core affected zone, that is desert air at its absolute driest. Factor 4, elevated overnight minimum temperatures. This is perhaps the most dangerous single factor for human survivability, and it receives far less coverage than the afternoon highs. During a heat dome of this structure, the overnight minimum temperatures, the lows that would normally allow the human body and infrastructure to recover from daytime heat loading, are failing to drop adequately. We are forecasting overnight lows in Phoenix, Arizona remaining above 90 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 5 consecutive nights, potentially 6. We are forecasting overnight lows in Las Vegas, Nevada remaining at or above 88 to 92 degrees Fahrenheit. We are forecasting overnight lows in Palm Springs, California, and the Coachella Valley at or above 91 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The physiological significance of this cannot be overstated. The human body requires a period of reduced ambient temperature, typically the overnight hours, to release the heat that is accumulated in core body tissue during the day. When overnight lows remain above 90 degrees with low humidity, the body cannot release heat adequately through radiation or convection. For healthy adults with air conditioning, this is manageable. For elderly individuals and homes with inadequate cooling, for unhoused residents, for people who experience power outages, and for infants, this represents a compounding thermal load that builds day over day. By day 4 or 5 of sustained overnight temperatures at 90 degrees or above, even previously healthy individuals can enter dangerous stages of heat exhaustion without having been exposed to the peak afternoon temperatures at all. The temperature forecast, city by city. Let me now walk through the specific temperature forecasts for the major population centers in the affected region. These figures represent the high confidence range from the NWS official forecast blended with HRRR and NBM guidance. Phoenix, Arizona, high temperatures forecast at 117 to 121 degrees Fahrenheit for the next 7 days. The all-time record high for Phoenix is 122 degrees Fahrenheit, set in June of 1990. Multiple modeling runs are placing the temperature signature within striking distance of that record, and some HRRR runs for the peak day, which we are currently timing for approximately 48 to 72 hours from now, are showing isolated readings at 122 to 123 degrees in the western Phoenix metropolitan heat island zones, including Goodyear, Surprise, Buckeye, and Sun City. Current population of the Phoenix metropolitan area, approximately 5,200,000 residents. Las Vegas, Nevada, high temperatures forecast at 113 to 118 degrees Fahrenheit. The all-time Las Vegas record is 117 degrees, set in 2017 and again in 2020. Forecast models are showing a strong probability of record-tying or record-breaking temperatures on the peak day. Current Las Vegas Valley population, approximately 2,300,000 residents. Tucson, Arizona, high temperatures forecast at 109 to 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Tucson sits at a slightly higher elevation than Phoenix, approximately 2,389 feet, which provides a minor modulating effect, but the temperature forecast remains at or above the heat warning threshold for the entire forecast period. Tucson metropolitan area population approximately 1 million residents. Palm Springs and Coachella Valley, California. High temperatures forecast at 116 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The Coachella Valley is one of the most thermally extreme environments in the continental United States during heat dome events, and the current setup is producing some of the highest temperature forecasts we have seen in this corridor since the record heat events of the early 2000s. The combination of low elevation, much of the valley sits at or below sea level, and the surrounding mountain barrier that funnels and traps hot air creates a natural amplification effect. Population of the Coachella Valley region, approximately 450,000 residents, with a significant proportion being seasonal agricultural workers with substantial outdoor exposure risk. Yuma, Arizona. High temperatures forecast at 114 to 119 degrees Fahrenheit. Yuma is already one of the hottest cities in the United States on an annual basis, and this event is pushing even Yuma's climatological envelope. Population approximately 110,000 in the city proper, with significant surrounding agricultural worker populations. Death Valley, California. High temperatures forecast at 127 to 132 degrees Fahrenheit. The all-time world temperature record of 130 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded at Death Valley's Furnace Creek in August of 2020, and that record itself is the subject of ongoing scientific verification. What we can state with confidence is that the current heat dome has the thermal architecture to produce temperatures at or near that threshold at Badwater Basin and the Furnace Creek observation stations. Death Valley receives significant tourist traffic even in summer. The National Park Service has already issued an emergency advisory urging all non-essential visitors to stay out of Death Valley during the peak period of this event. El Centro, California and the Imperial Valley. High temperatures forecast at 114 to 118 degrees Fahrenheit. A significant agricultural workforce operates in this area, and heat-related illness among outdoor workers is an acute concern here. Needles, California. High temperatures forecast at 118 to 123 degrees Fahrenheit. Needles consistently ranks among the hottest cities in the continental United States, and the current forecast puts it near or above its all-time record readings. Albuquerque, New Mexico. High temperatures forecast at 104 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit. Albuquerque benefits from elevation, sitting at approximately 5,300 feet, which provides meaningful temperature relief relative to the lower elevation desert cities, but the forecast values still represent extreme, dangerous heat for this community. Population approximately 918,000 in the metro area. St. George, Utah. High temperatures forecast at 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. St. George has been trending toward extreme heat events in recent years, and this forecast represents one of the most severe heat events in the city's recorded history. Population approximately 165,000 in the greater metro area. Grand Canyon, South Rim, Arizona. Rim temperatures forecast at 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The canyon interior temperatures at the river level near Phantom Ranch are forecast at 116 to 121 degrees Fahrenheit. The National Park Service has suspended all inner canyon hiking activities below the rim during the peak heat period. Any hikers currently on Inner Canyon Trail should be extracting to the rim via the earliest possible route. 3. Regional impact details. Now let us move from the meteorological data into the specific regional impacts, because this heat dome is not affecting every community in the same way, and understanding the spatial distribution of risk is critical for emergency response and public action. Arizona, the epicenter of this event. Arizona is at the absolute core of this heat dome, and the scale of the human exposure challenge here is immense. With a statewide population of approximately 7,500,000 residents, and with the majority of that population concentrated in the greater Phoenix and Tucson metropolitan areas, Arizona's emergency management system is facing a stress test of the highest order. Maricopa County, which encompasses Phoenix and is the fourth most populous county in the United States with approximately 4,500,000 residents, is currently operating under an excessive heat warning that the National Weather Service has classified as potentially historic in duration and intensity. The county has activated its full Emergency Operations Center, all emergency cooling shelters are open, and county transportation services are running expanded routes to bring residents without transportation access to cooling facilities. The heat urban island effect in central Phoenix is a documented phenomenon that adds between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit to ambient temperatures relative to surrounding rural areas during extreme heat events. This means that in the densest urban core of Phoenix, zip codes including 8503, 8504, 8506, 8507, 8508, and surrounding neighborhoods, peak afternoon temperatures are not 17 degrees. They are 120 to 123 degrees, potentially higher at street level in canyon-like conditions between buildings with heat-reflective pavement. Communities within these areas that have high concentrations of vulnerable populations, including the homeless community, which in Phoenix numbers approximately 9,000 to 10,000 individuals at any given time, are at acute risk. The Maricopa County heat-related death toll from previous events provides sobering context. In the summer of 2023, Maricopa County recorded over 600 confirmed heat-related deaths, the highest annual total in the county's recorded history. This event, with its combination of extreme peak temperatures, elevated overnight minimums, and extended duration, has the structural potential to exceed that toll if emergency response is not maximally effective. Pinal County, south of Phoenix, encompassing Casa Grande, Coolidge, and Maricopa, is under the same excessive heat warning, with temperatures forecast at 112 to 117 degrees, population approximately 490,000. Pima County, which contains Tucson, is under an excessive heat warning with temperatures at the threshold levels discussed earlier. The University of Arizona is operating with modified schedules, and the Tucson Unified School District has canceled all outdoor activities. Yavapai County, which includes Prescott, is under an excessive heat watch rather than an active warning at this stage. Prescott's elevation of approximately 5,300 feet provides meaningful relief, with temperatures forecast in the range of 98 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Still dangerous, but below the most extreme values affecting lower elevation communities. Nevada, the Las Vegas Valley under siege. Nevada's population is concentrated almost entirely within the Las Vegas Valley, making this effectively a single metropolitan area emergency for the state. The Clark County Emergency Management Office has activated its multi-agency coordination center, and the City of Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas, and unincorporated Clark County are all operating cooling centers at maximum capacity. The Las Vegas Strip presents a unique emergency management challenge. The resort corridor attracts an average of approximately 145,000 visitors per day during summer months. A transient population largely unfamiliar with desert heat protocols, often dressed for indoor casino environments rather than outdoor desert heat exposure, and moving between air-conditioned hotel rooms and outdoor spaces with a frequency that significantly elevates risk. The Nevada Gaming Control Board has issued advisory communications to all resort properties urging enhanced guest welfare protocols, including mandatory water provision at all outdoor venues and reduced operating hours for outdoor pool decks during peak afternoon heat windows. The outdoor entertainment venues along the Strip, many of which operate rooftop bars, outdoor amphitheaters, and open-air dining facilities, have been issued formal advisories to suspend outdoor operations between 11 in the morning and 8 in the evening during the peak days of this event. Compliance is being monitored by Clark County health authorities. Henderson, Nevada, population approximately 320,000, has established 8 emergency cooling centers with extended hours, open 24 hours per day during the peak event period. North Las Vegas, population approximately 270,000, has opened 6 cooling centers, and the city has deployed its mobile cooling unit fleet, a program that parks refrigerated comfort stations in neighborhoods identified as high risk based on housing quality data and demographic vulnerability indicators. The unhoused population of Clark County is estimated at approximately 7,000 to 7,500 individuals. The Southern Nevada Health District, Catholic Charities of Southern Nevada, and multiple emergency shelter organizations have activated their heat emergency protocols, including outdoor heat relief stations in downtown Las Vegas and near the Fremont Street area. California, a multi-region emergency, 4C, multi-region emergency. California's heat dome exposure in this event is geographically focused on the desert communities east of the mountain ranges, the Coachella Valley, the Imperial Valley, Death Valley, and portions of the Mojave Desert, rather than the coastal cities, which are benefiting from marine layer influence. However, interior valleys and the Sacramento-San Joaquin Valley are also experiencing significant heat, though below the extreme thresholds affecting the eastern desert regions. Riverside County, which encompasses the Coachella Valley, including Palm Springs, Palm Desert, Cathedral City, Rancho Mirage, Indian Wells, Indio, and Coachella, is under an excessive heat warning. The county has activated emergency cooling centers at all community centers, libraries, and designated shelters throughout the valley. Riverside County has a population of approximately 2,450,000 across the entire county, with approximately 450,000 in the Coachella Valley region. The agricultural worker population in the Coachella and Imperial Valleys represents one of the most acutely at-risk groups during this event. The California Division of Occupational Safety and Health, CALITAGE, has activated its Heat Illness Prevention Enforcement Program, conducting unannounced inspections of agricultural operations to verify compliance with mandatory shade provision, cool water availability, and rest period requirements. Employers found to be in violation face immediate citation and potential work stop orders. San Bernardino County, which includes portions of the Mojave Desert, the community of Needles, the city of Barstow, and the Joshua Tree area, is under an excessive heat warning throughout its desert portions. San Bernardino County is the largest county by area in the continental United States, covering approximately 20,105 square miles, and its emergency management resources are stretched thin across an enormous geographic footprint during this type of event. The National Park System properties in California facing extreme heat include Death Valley National Park, Joshua Tree National Park, and Mojave National Preserve. All three parks have issued emergency advisories. Joshua Tree National Park, which sits at higher elevations than the surrounding desert lowlands, is forecast to see temperatures at 108 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. The Park Service has reduced ranger patrols in the most remote sections of the park due to extreme risk to personnel, while increasing presence at visitor entry points to screen for unprepared visitors. Los Angeles County, while partially insulated from the worst heat by the Pacific Ocean, is forecast to see interior valley temperatures of 102 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit in the San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley, and Pomona Valley. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power is operating on elevated alert status for grid stability, and the Los Angeles County Office of Emergency Management has opened cooling centers throughout the county's interior communities. New Mexico. Eastern expansion of the dome. New Mexico is experiencing the eastern periphery of the heat dome, but peripheral does not mean safe in this context. The Rio Grande corridor, including Albuquerque and Las Cruces, is forecast for temperatures that represent some of the highest values on record for those communities. Las Cruces, population approximately 115,000, is forecast for high temperatures of 108 to 112 degrees Fahrenheit, approaching all-time records for this city. Donna Ana County has opened emergency cooling centers and is working with New Mexico State University to provide cooling resources for the student and faculty population. The New Mexico Department of Health has activated its heat emergency surveillance system, which monitors emergency department visits for heat-related illness in real time and triggers escalating response protocols as case counts rise. The Navajo Nation, which spans portions of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, presents a particularly urgent emergency management challenge during this event. The Navajo Nation's land area of approximately 27,000 square miles contains communities with high rates of poverty, limited air conditioning infrastructure, and in some areas, unreliable access to electricity and water. The Navajo Nation Emergency Management Office has activated emergency protocols, and tribal government cooling centers are operating at chapter houses throughout the nation. Water distribution is ongoing in communities without reliable running water access. The combined population of the Navajo Nation across all 3 states is approximately 170,000 residents. Utah, the northern edge. Southern Utah, particularly Washington County, which includes St. George and the surrounding communities, is within the heat dome's influence zone. Washington County has a population of approximately 180,000. Zion National Park, located in Washington County, is under a heat advisory with temperatures on the canyon floor forecast at 108 to 114 degrees Fahrenheit. The park has suspended shuttle services to the Narrows and Angels Landing during peak afternoon hours and is urging all hikers to complete canyon floor activities before 8 in the morning. 4. Specific danger zones and acute risk factors. Beyond the broad regional picture, there are specific danger zones and specific risk categories that emergency managers and the public need to understand in granular detail. This segment is critical. Pay close attention. High-risk population categories. Category 1, elderly residents aged 65 and above. The thermoregulatory system in elderly individuals operates less efficiently than in younger adults. The ability to perceive thirst is diminished, leading to chronic underhydration. The ability to sweat, the body's primary active cooling mechanism, is reduced. Cardiovascular systems in elderly individuals are less able to accommodate the increased cardiac output demands that come with sustained heat exposure. Nationwide health data shows that individuals over 65 account for approximately 80% of heat-related fatalities during extreme heat events. In Phoenix's Maricopa County, this demographic represents roughly 12% of the total population, approximately 540,000 individuals. Every single elderly person in the affected zone who does not have reliable, functioning air conditioning is in immediate danger during this event. Category 2, infants and children under age 4. Infants cannot communicate thermal distress and cannot self-regulate effectively. They are entirely dependent on caregivers for thermal protection. Never, under any circumstances during this event, leave a child in a vehicle for any duration. At an ambient outdoor temperature of 115 degrees Fahrenheit, the interior of a parked vehicle with windows closed can reach 150 to 165 degrees Fahrenheit within 10 minutes. Death can occur in vehicles within 20 minutes at these temperatures. Law enforcement agencies across the Southwest have been briefed on elevated response protocols for child-in-vehicle calls, and Good Samaritan statutes in Arizona, Nevada, and California explicitly protect individuals who break vehicle windows to rescue a child or pet from a hot vehicle from civil liability. Category 3, outdoor workers. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration has issued a heat hazard alert covering all affected states. Mandatory provisions include rest breaks in shaded areas for at least 10 minutes per hour, unrestricted access to cool water, at least 1 quart per hour for workers in temperatures above 100 degrees, and trained supervisors capable of recognizing and responding to heat illness symptoms. Industries with the highest outdoor exposure risk include agricultural labor, construction, landscaping, utility maintenance, delivery services, and emergency response personnel. Employers who fail to implement adequate heat protection measures are subject to OSHA citation and, in cases where heat illness results in hospitalization or death, to federal criminal investigation. Category 4, unhoused individuals. There is no population group with greater heat exposure risk than individuals experiencing homelessness, who by definition lack access to air-conditioned shelter as a baseline condition. Every city in the affected region is operating emergency outreach, street teams making direct contact with unhoused individuals, offering water and providing transportation to cooling centers. If you see someone who appears to be in heat distress on the street, confusion, slurred speech, skin that is very hot and not sweating, or a person who is unresponsive, call 911 immediately. Heat stroke is a life-threatening emergency that requires immediate medical intervention. Infrastructure danger zones, power grid stress. The Western Electrical Grid, operated by the Western Electricity Coordinating Council, or WECC, is currently under maximum stress conditions. The California ISO has already issued a flex alert requesting voluntary conservation between 4 and 9 in the evening. The Arizona Public Service Grid, which serves approximately 1,300,000 customers in the Phoenix area, is operating at 94% of rated capacity during peak afternoon demand and is running emergency demand response programs with large commercial customers. Nevada Energy has issued conservation requests to residential customers. The risk of rolling power outages during this event is real, and every resident in the affected zone needs a plan that does not depend on continuous electricity. If you are on medical equipment that requires electricity, home oxygen concentrators, dialysis machines, insulin storage, contact your power utility immediately to register as a medical baseline customer. In most utility service areas, this registration gives you priority restoration status during outages. Do not wait until an outage occurs. Road infrastructure. Extreme heat creates hazardous conditions on roadways that many drivers are not aware of. Asphalt pavement in the southwestern United States is typically engineered to withstand temperatures up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. At projected air temperatures of 115 to 122 degrees, pavement surface temperatures can reach 150 to 170 degrees. This does not typically cause pavement failure, but it dramatically accelerates tire degradation and blowout risk, particularly for tires that are already worn or slightly underinflated. Before any travel during this event, check tire pressure. Heat causes air to expand inside tires, so you may actually want to slightly underinflate from your maximum rated pressure to reduce blowout risk. ADOT, the Arizona Department of Transportation, has activated its Emergency Highway Assistance Patrol at full deployment across Interstate 10, Interstate 17, Interstate 40, and U.S. Route 60. Vehicle breakdowns during this heat event are life-threatening scenarios. If your vehicle breaks down on any highway or rural road in the affected zone, do not attempt to walk for help. Stay with your vehicle, turn on your hazard lights, call 911 or the relevant state highway patrol. Emergency services have protocols for heat event vehicle breakdown response and will reach you. Walking in 115-degree heat without an adequate water supply across desert terrain is an acute survivability emergency. Recreational water danger. Many residents will seek relief in lakes, rivers, and canals during this event. The following is critical safety information. The Tempe Town Lake, Lake Mead, Lake Havasu, the Colorado River, the Salt River, the Rio Grande, and all canal systems in the affected zone will experience significantly increased recreational use. Flash drowning risk is elevated during heat events due to cold water shock. When the body, overheated from ambient air temperature, enters cold water rapidly, the physiological response can include involuntary gasping, muscle cramping, and cardiac rhythm disruption. Enter water gradually. Never swim alone. Check posted notices at all recreational water facilities. The Arizona Canal System, approximately 130 miles of irrigation canals throughout the Phoenix metropolitan area, is fenced for safety, but illegal entry continues to result in drownings every summer. Zero entries into the canal system are safe under any circumstances. This is the action segment. Everything we have covered in the previous segments leads here. Knowledge of the threat is step 1. Having a plan and executing it is step 2. Let us go through exactly what you need to do. Immediate action. In the next 2 hours. Step 1. Audit your cooling situation right now. Turn on your air conditioning and verify that it is functioning correctly. Do not wait until tomorrow afternoon to discover that your AC unit failed overnight. Set your thermostat to 78 degrees or below and verify that the output air is cold. If your AC is not functioning, this is a life safety emergency during this heat event. Call an HVAC emergency repair service immediately and begin identifying your alternative cooling location. Step 2. Check on vulnerable neighbors, family members, and friends. Call or visit elderly neighbors, particularly those who live alone. Check that they have functioning air conditioning and that they have adequate water and supplies. Arrange to check in on them once or twice daily during the event peak. Step 3. Prepare your water supply. Each person in your household should be drinking between 8 and 12 cups, 64 to 96 ounces of water daily during extreme heat. More if you have any outdoor exposure. Stock enough bottled water for a minimum of 3 days per person in the event of a power outage affecting your water system. Hydration tip: do not wait until you feel thirsty to drink. Thirst is a late indicator of dehydration. Drink proactively throughout the day. Step 4. Identify your nearest cooling center now, before you need it. Emergency cooling center contact numbers by state: Arizona, Maricopa County. Call 211 for the nearest cooling center location. The county's cooling center hotline is also reachable at 602-372-2222. Cooling centers are open 24 hours during the peak event period at over 40 designated sites, including all Maricopa County libraries, community centers, and designated emergency shelters. Nevada, Clark County, the Southern Nevada Health District Cooling Center hotline is 702-759-1221. Clark County library branches are operating as cooling centers during library hours, with additional extended hours facilities at the East Las Vegas Community Center on Bonanza Road, the West Las Vegas Library on MLK Boulevard, and the Doris Reed Civic Center in Henderson. California, Riverside County, the county's emergency heat hotline is 760-9556. All Riverside County Library branches are open as cooling centers. The Coachella Valley Rescue Mission in Indio is operating as a 24-hour cooling and emergency shelter facility. California, San Bernardino County, call 211 for cooling center referrals. All San Bernardino County libraries are activated as cooling centers. New Mexico, Bernalillo County. The Albuquerque Emergency Heat Line is 505-768, City 768-2489. All Albuquerque, Bernalillo County library branches are open as cooling centers during business hours. Utah, Washington County, St. George City Community Center at 220 South 1st East is open as a cooling center. Call 435-627-3900 for information. National 211 is the nationwide social services hotline and can connect you with cooling center information in virtually any county in the United States. If you do not have a county-specific number, dial 211. Survival protocol during peak heat hours, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Rule 1. Stay indoors in air-conditioned environments. This is not a suggestion. It is a physiological necessity during temperatures above 110 degrees with low humidity. If you do not have home air conditioning, go to a cooling center, a mall, a library, a movie theater, or any other air-conditioned public space and stay there during peak hours. Rule 2. If you must be outdoors, limit direct sun exposure to no more than 15 minutes at a time. Cover as much skin as possible with lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting, natural fiber clothing. Cotton and linen breathe and allow sweat evaporation, which is the body's primary cooling mechanism. A wide-brimmed hat reduces radiant heat loading on the head and face significantly. Seek shade aggressively. Shade can reduce the effective temperature experienced by the body by 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Rule 3. Do not rely on fans as primary cooling during temperatures above 95 degrees Fahrenheit with low humidity. A common misconception is that fans provide cooling at any temperature. Fans cool through convective heat loss. Blowing air across skin accelerates sweat evaporation. At ambient temperatures above the body's core temperature of approximately 98 degrees Fahrenheit, fans actually accelerate heat gain from the environment rather than providing net cooling. In very low humidity conditions, which we have during this event, fans continue to provide some evaporative benefit at temperatures up to approximately 105 to 108 degrees Fahrenheit, but they are not a substitute for air conditioning above that threshold. Rule 4. Recognize the symptoms of heat exhaustion and heat stroke and know what to do. Heat exhaustion presents as heavy sweating, cool and pale skin, fast and weak pulse, nausea, muscle cramps, tiredness, weakness, and dizziness. Treatment: move the person to a cool location, apply cool wet cloths, sip water. This is an early stage condition that can be reversed with prompt intervention. Heat stroke is the emergency. Heat stroke presents as very high body temperature, above 103 degrees Fahrenheit as measured rectally, hot and red skin, no sweating, rapid and strong pulse, and possible unconsciousness. Confusion and disorientation are cardinal warning signs. Heat stroke is a life-threatening medical emergency. Call 911 immediately. While waiting for emergency services, cool the person rapidly by any means available. Immerse in cool water if possible. Apply ice packs to the neck, armpits, and groin where major blood vessels run near the surface. Spray with cool water and fan aggressively. Every minute of delay in cooling a heat stroke victim significantly worsens outcomes. Rule 5. Never leave children or pets in vehicles. We covered this earlier, but it bears repetition. At these temperatures, interior vehicle temperatures are lethal within minutes. Nighttime and overnight protocol. Use the nighttime hours to pre-cool your home as much as possible, but understand that with overnight lows in the high 80s to low 90s, the cooling opportunity is limited. If your air conditioning is functioning, keep it running overnight. The energy cost is worth it. If you experience a power outage overnight, Immediately begin assessing options. Do you have a generator? Do you have a vehicle with functioning AC where you can sleep? Can you get to a 24-hour cooling center? Make this decision before midnight, not at 4 in the morning when your home has reached 105 degrees indoors. For outdoor workers, mandatory compliance points. Your employer is legally required under current OSHA and state-level heat regulations to provide water, clean, cool, and free at a minimum of 1 quart per hour, shade accessible within short walking distance of the work area, rest breaks of at least 10 minutes per hour in shade, and a buddy system or monitoring protocol to identify heat illness in coworkers. If your employer is not meeting these requirements, you have the legal right to refuse work in unsafe heat conditions without retaliation, and you have the right to file a complaint with OSHA by calling 1-800-321-OSHA, 1-800-321-6742. You can also file online at osha.gov. Emergency Contact Summary. National Emergency 911 Social Services and Cooling Center Referrals 211 National Weather Service weather.gov for official forecasts, warnings, and updates. OSHA Heat Complaint Hotline 1-800-321-6742 Arizona Emergency Information AZDPS. .gov or dema.az.gov, Nevada Emergency, readynv.org, California Emergency, cal.oes.ca.gov, New Mexico Emergency, nmdhsem.org, National Heat Safety Information, ready.gov/heat. We are going to close this broadcast with a clear statement of where we are and when you should come back for updates. The Southwest Extreme Heat Dome event is currently at its initial intensification phase. Temperatures are rising toward peak values. The most dangerous period of this event, the window of maximum temperature, maximum duration of elevated overnight minimums, and maximum infrastructure stress, is forecast to begin approximately 48 hours from now and persist for 5 to 7 days at near-peak intensity. We will be back on this channel with a full updated broadcast within 24 hours. If conditions escalate before that point, specifically if any city breaks its all-time temperature record, if power grid stress produces confirmed rolling outages, or if heat-related fatality counts in any county trigger elevated emergency declarations, we will go live immediately with breaking coverage. Between broadcasts, monitor the National Weather Service at weather.gov. Monitor your local emergency management agency. Keep your phone charged. Keep your emergency notifications enabled. Wireless emergency alerts (WEA) are active in the affected region, and your phone will receive automatic alerts if your local emergency manager issues a critical notification. This is not a situation that improves quickly. This is not a situation where you can afford to be passive. The human body's tolerance for extreme heat is limited, and that tolerance window narrows rapidly when temperatures exceed 115 degrees. You have information. Use it. If you are safe and cool right now, use the next 24 hours to help someone who is not. Check on neighbors, share cooling center information, make a phone call, bring a water bottle to someone who looks like they need it. The history of heatwave survivability shows consistently that social connectedness, community members watching out for one another, saves lives that the official emergency system cannot reach in time. This has been AlertWatch YT, bringing you verified, data-driven emergency weather coverage for the Southwest Extreme Heat Dome event. Stay cool, stay hydrated, stay connected, and stay safe. We will see you in the next broadcast.